Welcome, everyone.
Blite Nation.
Ian and Vito minus Liz right now. She'll be along later. Coming at you with
She's
Doc
cleaning
Rich.
everyone.
Y'all narrative's been broken. It's been shattered, destroyed.
Season 3 of America, man.
I thought the terrorists were supposed to destroy the jobs, man. I thought everybody was gonna get fired. I thought the shelves were gonna be bare. No one's gonna find nothing to be able to buy nothing. Everybody gonna be broke.
Listen, I'm not an economic major.
I know, but
money ain't my strength, bro.
But isn't that what the news was saying?
No, that's true. That is
the
true.
tariffs were gonna destroy the economy. Trump was gonna plunge us into a dark age. He's talking about a golden age. Here comes the dark ages.
Wasn't Trump and what's his name? The president of China. Xi. Aren't they negotiating now? Wasn't it rocky at first and then they negotiated?
Because Xi dropped all of his tariffs on the U.S. So apparently Trump's negotiating play is working. So in a sense, it's a good thing Trump used the tariffs to strong arm to the Chinese to be like, oh, he ain't playing around. We'll quietly back off these tariffs. So maybe he'll talk to us. So wouldn't that make Trump a good leader in the aspect of using his negotiating tools to his disposal? Using his tools to get things done in favor of the American people? Isn't that what a leader of a country does for their people?
I mean, I see what you're saying. It's only been 100 days, though.
That's felt like 100 years.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah. I mean,
yeah, honestly, hasn't it felt like 3 years have gone by?
Kinda. I think that's not just politically anymore. I think that's just everything, because so much stuff happens in a day now.
It's
so
insane.
many whether it's music, whether it's politics, entertainment, sports, anything.
Yeah, judges getting arrested.
So much happens in a day now.
He's in prison. I mean,
he going to trial.
Yeah, of course.
He rejected the plea, man.
Of course he is.
He going to trial.
He thinks he's trying to make it like he's being railroaded.
My question is, what's he going to do if he gets a guilty verdict? What's he going to do? But anywho, man.
Let's see what the narratives are broken.
Yeah, let's see what Doc talking about.
Go ahead, Ian, hit that play button. Let's get this rolling.
The jobs report for April hitting the wires. Non-farm payrolls, a greater 177,000. We're expecting, as Joe pointed out, 133,000. 177,000 would be the second best of the year outside of what's in the rearview mirror.
We got to talk about what Uncle Trump has already accomplished because, of course, mainstream media has been all doom and gloom. Oh, my goodness, Trump the destroyer. He's going to destroy everything. Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide everybody, hoard everything, because all the prices of everything is just going to go through the roof. It's all going down the toilet.
That's what they've been saying since he's took office.
According to the numbers, that's most definitely not the case. So with that being said, let's dive in.
All right, breaking moments ago, the April jobs report just released showing steady gains amid some economic uncertainty. I want to bring in CNN's Matt Egan, who joins me now with more. All right, what are we seeing in the numbers? What is the context here?
Yeah, Omar, we were bracing for a slowdown in the jobs market. We did not get that. We got steady hiring. This jobs market is just relentless. Let me run you through the key numbers.
Yeah, let's do it.
177,000 jobs were added in the month of April. That easily beat forecasts for 135,000. So not even close there. The unemployment rate...
Okay, this is going to sound like a stupid question. If it says 177 jobs added, does that mean open vacancies? Or does that mean
177,000 people that were hired last month?
That was my next part.
Yeah,
I didn't know if that was going to be too far reaching.
No, confirmed hires. That's what that is. People who actually now have a job.
Okay. Does that include part-time and full-time, or you got to be full-time?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if that includes because there's 40 hours a week versus the part so.
But that Now you're nitpicking on.
No, I'm just asking. I
know you say, but still, that's when.
I mean, a part-time is still a job.
But they were The point is, they were expecting 135,000 jobs, and they blew it away.
Okay. I mean, that's 177. That's good
In a month, bro.
No, yeah, that is crazy.
That's not like
because in April it says right here.
Yeah, it's not a year. It's not like since he took office. That's just April.
Well, okay. So since you had the everybody who got fired federally, some people got brought back though. Isn't that true? So I wonder if that's within the 177K. I wonder if that's brand new job. You know what I'm saying?
It should be a brand new jobs.
Okay.
But even still, most of those wouldn't. Even if that reflects 1,000 to 2,000 jobs.
Okay.
It's still not going to be the reason it jumped from 135 to 177.
Hey,
when everybody in the media was saying the media is about to crash, the U.S. economy was about to go kapoof, and yet the numbers show we're increasing and booming. We're in for a strong summer.
Huh.
It just shows the tariffs are working.
I mean, yeah, I can't really, 177. That's almost 200K. I can't really.
Because that means, everyone said when he initiated the tariffs on April 2nd, there was going to be mass firings. People were going to be done. Don't look like it. It's not a negative job growth.
I mean, there's a big green arrow going up right there. So I see what you're saying, Vito.
But also, that's a net of 177,000 amongst all the firings in the federal government.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So imagine if they didn't have, even though they brought back people, yes, but imagine if they didn't have all those firings. How many jobs actually would have been shown then? Would that number have been 300,000? 250,000?
Okay.
you know what I mean? So see how much it offsets.
Yeah, because we just got out of April. It's May now.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Stayed low. It stayed at 4.2%. When we look at where the jobs are right now, we're seeing solid gains in a number of places. Accommodation and food services, right? Restaurants, hotels, hospitals, healthcare, private education, all of them adding jobs. One place where we saw a loss of jobs again was the federal government as the DOGE cuts to the workforce continue. But still, when we really zoom out here,
that's where you want to see
jobs
cuts
market
in the
has
federal
been
government.
solid, right? I mean, 177,000.
You want to see federal government cuts. But the private sector is outweighing the public sector, which is amazing. You want to see the private businesses of the restaurants, the healthcare, the private schooling. You want to see those jobs increasing. You want to see the government's jobs decreasing. We don't want the government to be big and bloated. We want it to be tiny and small. Just do its basic functions. Not rule over us. We're in charge of the government. The government's not in charge of us. People forget that. They do. There's a big difference there.
Damn, okay.
Jobs, that when we look at the trend, look at this. We saw that March was actually significantly revised lower to 185,000 jobs added. That's down from the original report. So you can see that there really isn't all that much of a change here. And these are still very solid numbers. Now, this is a big contrast to what's shown up in the surveys, right? We've seen so much gloom and doom from consumers, small business owners, CEOs. There's all of these concerns about the economy, about the trade war. One thing I would note as we look at the market
CNN
reaction, futures were up ahead of this. They remain up. One thing I would just stress is that this does not mean that the economy is out of the woods, right?
So there you have it. And that is where I'm going with this. And you heard him mention it there at the end. But let's continue on because that's not it.
436,000 increase in the number of people who are employed. So this is an amazing report. The number of people, the labor force participation rate rose. So this is a really strong number. I wanted to mention one other quick thing. About 2 weeks ago, every headline, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, was, the stock market is crashing. And since then, the market has been up, like 2,800 points.
Yeah, well, you don't see that
by the way, I don't see headlines about that.
That was the point, that Scott Bessent made. Yeah, Scott Bessent made the same point yesterday.
Exactly. He made that point. But 400.
Exactly. We're all these same people that were all doom and gloom. Oh my goodness, Trump's destroying. But you heard him mention it there at the end of the.
Well, I can understand the whole thing with the doom and gloom because when it first hit, it spiked it. So yeah, people freaked out.
Yeah, you weren't sure which way it was going to go, but the proof is you're starting to show right now. Things are starting to get better for people.
I just think the stock market, like I don't understand the ins and outs of it.
The stock market don't matter. We're really with this. All that the difference is the stock market's still going up while jobs are being added. That's the comparison here. It's not that the stock market still went up even though they lost jobs. People like to make that comparison like it's not that big a deal.
So you want a balance.
Exactly.
Okay.
You want the market to be going up while people are going back to work. And unemployment rate stayed level or went down. It's still under 5%. It's almost under 4%.
Yeah, because it said 4.2.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think it'll ever hit zero.
No, it's never going to hit zero. Never going to hit zero.
Yeah.
But if you can get it under 3%.
Yeah, okay.
That's a lot of people, bro.
What's the highest it's ever been?
Probably 12%. Well, actually, in the Great Depression, it was probably like 30%.
Highest
unemployment ever was. Doing a quick search, guys. Doing a quick search.
Employment. The highest unemployment rate in the United States was 14.90% in April 2020. Well, that was during the COVID. Okay.
14%. Okay.
Yeah, that was during.
Wow, so it was even higher than the Great Depression rates.
But that was during COVID.
Yeah.
Which I kind of expect. I'm not surprised by that. Everything shut down. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
So damn. So that means if it gets to under 3%, that's imagine that. But still, that's 10% of the people that went back to work over that time.
I'm gonna guess. This is me spitballing at math, everybody. But I wanted to go. So you know how it says 177,000 right there?
Yep.
And on the CNN one, it said it was 4.2%?
Yeah, unemployment.
I'm wondering if it were to get to 3%, is that another 100,000?
No.
I was about to, I said I'm probably reaching with the math on that.
No, wait, that's be way more.
Okay.
You're talking for a whole percentage of the entire country to go back to work. Because look up what's 1% of, call it, what? There's 330 million people in this country. Call it 300 million. Go off of 300 million. That's what
1%.
30. That's what 30 million people.
Oh, you said 300 million, right?
Yeah. I want to say it's 30 million or 3 million. Maybe 3 million.
1% of 300 million. Can you just give me the answer, bro? 3 million.
Okay, 3 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If a whole percentage dropped in 1 month, that's 3 million jobs in 1 month.
I see what you're saying. Okay. I see where my math was off then. That always gets me. When someone says, yo, Ian, what's this percent? I'm like,
give me
a calculator. I need.
Well, it's relative to the point of what you're thinking of.
Okay. All right.
You see what I mean?
No, I see
if
what
the
you're saying.
unemployment went down a whole percentage point like that in 1 month, that would be insane. But that's why that's why it's a big deal if it goes from 4%, 4.2 to 4.0. That's why those 0.2 ticks is huge.
Yeah, no facts.
You don't see that
by the way, I don't see headlines about that.
That was the point. That was the point that Scott Bessent made. Yeah, Scott Bessent made the same point yesterday. That
exactly, he made that point. But 400.
Exactly. We're all these same people that were all doom and gloom. Oh my goodness, Trump's destroying. But you heard him mention it there at the end of that first clip. Even with these great numbers, mainstream media and Democrats are still trying to figure out a way to spin it in a bad light. And if you don't believe me, well, you know I always come with the clips, baby. So here you go.
The April jobs report was released just moments ago. It showed the United States added 177,000 jobs last month, which topped economists' expectations.
Did you see right there?
The unemployment rate was...
The unemployment change didn't move, and we added 177,000 jobs. So imagine if it dropped a whole percentage point. How many jobs would be added?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
So another 100,000 jobs could not move again, and that means another 100,000 jobs would be added.
Damn.
So if it goes from 0.2 to 0.0, imagine that's going to be like 1 million jobs. Well, probably like 300,000 jobs, but still. You know what I mean?
That's still a high number.
That's a lot of jobs.
Ooh, excuse me.
So a whole percentage would be insane.
Sorry, guys. This Waterloo got me burping.
unchanged at 4.2%. So, Peter Baker, we know this White House has been looking for any sign of good economic news in recent weeks. We are now a month since their self-proclaimed Liberation Day, which started the tariffs and trade wars. And there's certainly most of the economic signals have been worrisome, to say the least. This one, a little better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is something they can point to. Of course, all this is the same roughly kind of job growth we saw under Biden, which they said was terrible and ruinous and disastrous. So, you know, they're going to spin it. They'll talk about how great it is. It doesn't necessarily tell us where things will go in a month or 2 months if these tariffs really do go into effect. And it's also interesting, you know, we don't know yet the full impact of all of these layoffs or, you know, attempts to lay off these thousands and thousands of federal government workers, the spin-off effects that's going to have on the economy in different parts of the country, particularly even red states where there are actually government workers who are.
Yeah, so you heard that there. And I hear this nonsense about Biden. They keep bringing that up. Well, the job growth under Biden was blank. It was good, right? But they failed to mention that a lot of those jobs were government jobs. Yep. Remember all those IRS agents that they hired and said that they were going to tax the rich.
The Biden administration inflated the numbers.
Okay. That's a load of crap. A total load of crap. But
Trump administration didn't do that.
Considering
all
of the
sector.
questions about how the
The Biden administration always touted how much government added. 177,000, most of that came from the private sector. You can't fudge those. You see what I mean?
Nah, I feel you. Don't get me wrong. It's good to have it. It's good to have people like doing the jobs in the federal government, but also you need like the local people got to work too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you.
president's trade strategy is going to ripple through the economy overall. So you've got 177,000 jobs created. You've got healthcare jobs created. You've also got, you can see warehouse and transportation jobs in here. I think that's directly tied to his tariffs because you had a lot of front-loaded companies rushing in inventories. And so there were jobs probably surrounding that. But when you look in federal jobs, 9,000 lost, 26,000 federal jobs lost so far this year, you'll start to see that number grow. And here's why. There have been a lot of government layoffs. And anybody who took a buyout or is furloughed from the government and is still getting a paycheck, for example, if you had a buyout, you're not counted yet. So there could be a lag before those numbers really start to show up here. So this is the kind of a number that really shows the durability of the American job market with all of this uncertainty swirling around, Jose.
And Christine, so it's interesting because for so long, I would venture to guess probably years, if not decades, a lot of the economic growth in jobs was in the federal government part.
Yeah, I mean, yes, indeed. And that has been a part that has been a sturdy, some economists and labor economists would call it kind of like a shock absorber. This is a part of the labor market that's a shock absorber when times turn, because you have this steady, solid part of the economy, the labor force that is employed. And this is the president and his team. They don't want that anymore. So they've been aggressively firing American workers. So that number will begin to change, no question. And I will say, Jose, also overall, these numbers, these are not the gangbuster numbers of the past couple of years. These are, it's a steady cooling in a resilient labor market. This is exactly what the Fed wants to say.
Firing American workers. Yeah, government workers who are paid on our tax dollars. Absolutely. Fire them all, as far as I'm concerned, including some of these congressmen and women. I wouldn't be sad about that. All right, I would not be sad about that. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that because it's quite interesting how
all about shrinking
even when they call doom and gloom and then the actual numbers come out and they're not doom and gloom, they still find a way to try to spin it in a bad light, right? To try to make Trump look terrible still. Right? Oh, well, it's not as good as the numbers say, because X, Y, and Z. It's just super interesting, and it's why people no longer watch the news. It's not the news anymore. It's simply hate Trump, Trump bad, Republicans are terrible, Democrats are absolutely amazing. That's what the news is, and I had to put that in air quotations because it's not the news anymore. It's glorified YouTube channels. Yep. That's all it is. That happen to be on television. Hell, they should put me on television over these folks. This is absolutely garbage. Mm-hmm. Garbage reporting. But hey, I'm just a guy that talks on the internet from time to time. What do you think? Let me know. Thanks for tuning in as always. Peace and love. I'm out.
I think you're right, Red Doc. I think you're right.
Okay. All right. Well, damn. I mean, as always, I'm going to say it's good to see people who got jobs being able to take care of their family. Mm-hmm. And those people who aren't doing their job, then I guess, you got to go. But.
Exactly. Well, government's bloated. There's too many people doing the same job. You don't need to have 3,000 people handing out cell phones to people.
You sure, Vito? Make sure these cell phones get handed out properly, man. Yeah. But guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Like, comment, subscribe, blow us up. Y'all know what to do.
Thanks for stopping in and spending some time with us. Hit that notification bell, give it a share because it does help the channel out.
Please and thank you.
See y'all on the next one.
Peace.